My Years as Yin-Yang Master by Cui Zhou. Synopsis. Our story begins with a young man who dies and enters the netherworld. Have you heard many strange tales spread among the people? Have you ever admired and yearned for those gifted individuals in the stories? This book tells the tales of those scattered among ordinary folks with extraordinary skills. They are proficient in divination and sorcery, know how to exorcise ghosts and draw talismans, and master the art of Chimen Dunjia. When their abilities are no longer recognized by this era, what choices should they make? Volume 1. Those who practice Taoism suffer from the 5 afflictions and 3 deficiencies. But by the time Cui Zhuofei realized this, it was already too late. From the moment he delved into the 3 Pure Ones book, his fate had long been rewritten. Chapter 1. Yellow Millet Rice. My name is Cui Zhuofei. Zhua as in act recklessly, Fei as in unrestrained. Do you find this name a bit odd? It sounds a lot like Cui discarded. Truth be told, I've never been happy with it either. But according to our family's generational naming tradition, my generation was assigned the character Zhua. My parents weren't well educated, and picking my name gave them quite a headache. Eventually, my father had a flash of inspiration, grabbed a dictionary, and said he'd use the first character on whatever page he flipped to. By coincidence, the first character on that page was Fei discarded. My mother refused. Who wants their child named discarded? She showed the toughness of a Northeast Chinese woman, insisting her son wouldn't be labeled useless. My father backed down. He pointed to another character on the same page, Fei, extraordinary, and said, "Then our eldest son will be Zhuofei. I hope he'll accomplish great things when he grows up." That's how my name was decided, so, casually, what I'm about to tell you, you can take as a story. No need to take it too seriously. My hometown is Longjiang, a small county near Qiqihar City in Heilongjiang Province. Grandpa said Longjiang used to be called Zhujiakan. Small temples breed strong winds. Small towns breed endless troubles. In this little town, a band of bandits lived in the nearby woods. Friends from Northeast China know what bandits mean. Outlaws, much like Zhuoshanjiao in tracks in the snowy forest. Old watchtowers converted into water towers still stand here today. Wartime always brings the strangest happenings. Many folk tales come from those years, including what happened to Grandpa when he was young. Grandpa was 28 that year. Northeast winters could freeze a person to death. It's milder now, but Grandpa said winters back then were far colder. There's an old saying, "Laba the 7th and 8th freeze your jaw off." People joked you'd need a stick to knock ice off while peeing outdoors, lest you freeze solid. I never experienced that myself. We don't have the custom of eating laba porridge on Laba Festival. To this day, I've never even seen what laba porridge looks like. Instead, we eat yellow millet rice, sticky rice, clumpy and gluey. It sticks to your chin horribly. Imagine eating it with a beard. Even during the famine, thrifty Northeast women scraped together precious grain to serve fine food for holidays. Grandma was that kind of woman. We lived in a big factory compound with 5 families. Grandpa went out to work during the day. Grandma stayed home to keep house. It was Laba Festival. Grandma took out yellow millet she'd saved for 6 months and rinsed it. Back then, people rarely washed fine grain. Grain was too precious. Every bit counted. Life was desperately hard. She put the rice on to boil and covered the pot. Corn stalks blazed in the stove, and soon the kitchen filled with the scent of rice. It was around 6 in the evening. Winter days are short, and it was pitch black outside. The wind howled, no moon. Blowing snow stung like a knife to the face. Grandma sat on a small stool, thinking Grandpa would be home soon. She drifted off to sleep. She remembered it clearly. In her dream, a yellow, weasel-like creature circled her, and she couldn't chase it away. Angry, she bent to pick up a stone, and was jolted awake by knocking. It was Sister Zhai from across the yard, pounding the gate and shouting, "Sister Cui, come quick! We caught someone digging a hole in the wall. Digging wall holes was a common theft trick back then. Yards had high but flimsy earthen walls. Climbing over risked collapsing them. Thieves would dig through the dog holes families cut for their dogs. Dogs roamed free to find food, since people barely had enough to eat, and often couldn't get back into locked yards. Thieves widened these holes to sneak in and steal grain or poison dogs to take home for meat. This thief was especially stupid, daring to break in so early. Old man Jai caught him red-handed. Probably he was just starving to death. Grandma went outside. Everyone in the yard had gathered to watch. Old man Jai had his foot pressed firmly on the thief's chest. The thief looked up, eyes wide with terror. Grandma recalled he wasn't from the village. No one knew him. About 40 years old, his face was unnaturally pointy with tiny mouse-like whiskers. He wore a tattered cotton-padded jacket, his shifty eyes darting everywhere. Just then, Grandpa came home. He looked at the thief on the ground and sighed. Times were so hard, everyone scraped by, but everyone had their own way. Now that you're in our hands, you have to accept your fate. Life was brutal, especially in those days when human life was worth less than grass. Villagers were starving. Letting this stranger go would only bring more trouble. Don't think people were cruel back then. They had no choice. Let him live, and he'd keep plaguing the area. People of our time can hardly understand. Grandpa told Grandma to scoop a bowl of hot yellow millet rice and bring a dipper of cold water. She did as he said. The freshly cooked rice smelled delicious. The thief perked up, sniffing furiously, saying nothing, blinking rapidly. The villagers tied him up quickly. Holding the rice, Grandpa said, "It's not that we won't spare you. We can barely survive ourselves. We've all had it hard. Eat your fill, then go on your way. Be reborn into a good family next life." He used chopsticks to pick up a big chunk of rice, dipped it in cold water, and held it to the thief's mouth. Starving, the thief ate greedily, grinning at Grandpa, completely unaware his doom was near. You might wonder why we fed him first. Anyone who's eaten hot yellow millet rice knows it's nearly boiling temperature. It was his last meal. The rice was extremely sticky in thick clumps. Dipped in cold water, the surface felt warm, but the inside was scalding. It tasted mild going down, but once in the stomach, it burned the organ half to death. When the bowl was nearly finished, the women went inside. They couldn't bear to watch what came next. Grandma sat on the Kong and then heard a terrible, piercing scream, echoing for a long while before falling silent. Frightened, her heart pounding, she pictured the thief's mouth stretched wide like a kettle, steam bursting from his burned stomach up his throat and out his lips. About an hour later, Grandpa came in. He brushed snow off his clothes, set down his bowl, and called Grandma to eat. She got up, laid out dishes and pickles, and added oil to the kerosene lamp. The rice wine was already warm. Grandpa drank with pickles. Grandma lifted the pot lid and served 2 bowls of rice, still uneasy about the thief. Grandpa saw her face, put down his chopsticks, and said, "Look at you, so skittish. A worthless drifter scares you this much?" Grandma sighed, staring at the snow outside. "It was still a human life," she said. "We shouldn't have killed him." Grandpa downed a cup of wine. "You think I wanted to? That drifter was almost certainly a scout sent by the bandits. Think, he's not from here, everyone from the nearest town is gone, and suddenly a stranger shows up? Who else could he be? If we let him go back and tell the bandits we still have yellow millet rice, they'll raid us, and how will we survive this year?" Grandma shuddered at the word bandits. As I said earlier, before liberation, Northeast bandits ruled the area. Normally, they only robbed landlords and wealthy families, but in those years, starving men didn't care who you were. They'd loot any home. Grain, livestock, everything. People were too scared to protest. Most had been poor before turning to banditry, so they weren't entirely heartless. They'd leave a little food for the people they robbed, but never enough. With New Year approaching and the lean months of February and March to follow, those scraps wouldn't feed anyone. That's why so many fled their homes to escape the bandits, not just the landlords. Before raiding, bandits sent 1 or 2 scouts to check which homes had food and valuables. They'd report back, then a gang would come to rob those families. Comply, and you might live, resist, and they'd kill you without a second thought. They'd dump your body in the mountains for wolves and rats to eat. Your family would never even find your remains.